Buddy, what is going on? The Catch fam. I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope everyone out there has had a great Thursday. Hope you guys have enjoyed this game between the Broncos and the Chiefs, which has not been the most entertaining game, but nonetheless has been another Thursday night football game. Wrapping up here in just a couple minutes. Looks like the Chiefs are going to pull out here, but 19-8, minute 42. Pretty confident in the Chiefs here, but nonetheless, was not able to stream earlier like I usually do before the Thursday night game, and so I wanted to hop on here tonight, and you guys know what we're getting into. Some Week 6 fantasy Q&A, anything that you guys need, start sits. How did the waiver wire go for you guys? How are injuries affecting you guys? How has Thursday night football affected your matchup for the week? Whatever you guys need, I'm here to help you guys the best I possibly can. So Week 6, can you guys believe it? I mean, this season is flying by. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, almost to Sunday. And it's going to be another good week of football, I think. So whatever you guys need, let me know. And we'll get to it tonight. So, yeah, I do apologize that I was not on earlier with Steven like we usually do on Thursday night. But I'm here. I'm here for a little bit to help you guys with anything, little post Thursday night football fantasy Q&A. So, yeah, nothing we really need to go over in terms of news. I mean, Deshaun Watson now is expected to not play on Sunday's game. So, I mean, we kind of knew that was probably what was going to happen, but that is exactly where this is trending against the Niners. So, I don't really feel great about any starters for the Browns against the Niners this weekend. I mean, like we know, like there's some weakness here and there to the secondary of the Niners, but I mean, I'm PJ Walker, no disrespect, but like I'm just not feeling confident in the Browns' ability to move the football consistently throughout this matchup against the Niners, with us knowing that Deshaun Watson's not going to be on the field. So I'm worried about guys like Amari Cooper, Jerome Ford. I mean, Jerome Ford already was kind of a steep matchup, so I don't feel good about the Browns. I do, however, feel much better about the Niners as a whole. So we'll see how things shape out. It's not like this Browns defense is anything to sneeze at, but we got the Watson situation. T. Higgins looks like he's going to try and suit up and play this weekend. I would expect a lower ceiling from him, but we'll see what happens. Sam Laporta not practicing due to a calf injury. So if you own Sam Laporta, I mean, it's a little bit worrisome because he was starting to look like a player that like we're just starting each and every week and we're not worrying about it whatsoever. But now with an apparent calf injury, I mean, hopefully this is just nothing and the breeze is over. But we'll see what happens there. I mean, what are we supposed to do other than speculate at the moment? There's really nothing we can do, right? But definitely a little bit worrisome to say the least. But luckily for a lot of you guys, you're able to grab Laporta off waivers, or you drafted him as like a second tight end late and got him behind somebody else. So, not good news with just the rampant amount of injuries we've already seen so far on the season, but we'll see what happens. So, Travis Kelce did play tonight, and he looked like normal Travis Kelce. So that was encouraging. Okay, that's about it. Broncos pull out the win. What a boring football game. Or, excuse me, Broncos. Jeez. The Chiefs pull out the win against the Broncos, 19-8. And, Thursday night football, I always warn you guys, like, I don't like Thursday night games for fantasy. This was not a great game for fantasy. It wasn't awful, but, I mean, Rashee Rice, 11.2 points. Isaiah Pacheco, 15.8 points. Cortland Sutton, a great touchdown. I mean, Cortland Sutton, good football player, bad situation. Javonte Williams did pretty much nothing in this game. I mean, the 2-point conversion was like, thanks, I guess. Like maybe he gave you, I don't want to say respectable stat line, but he gave you something, right? We already talked about Travis Kelce. He had a good day, 21 fantasy points. So he has 12 or more fantasy points in every game this year. What do you expect? Kadarius Toney scored a touchdown, but only had 9 fantasy points. So Mahomes, 20 fantasy points, even in the performance. Man, it wasn't a bad performance, just like a I don't know, just not a game that had a ton of offense, I guess is the point I'm getting at. But yeah, not a huge game for fantasy. Basically, on the Broncos side of things, if you didn't have Cortland Sutton, you probably don't feel great. Jerry Jeudy, not a good game whatsoever. Marvin Mims, 0 points. Nothing to look at tight end there. When it comes to the running back position, like McCaughlin didn't do anything. Javonte didn't do anything. Russell Wilson didn't do anything. Cortland Sutton, really the only offensive player for the Broncos that we can consider starting on a weekly basis at the moment. So, Thursday night matchups, I just hate them. This is a perfect example. I mean, this Broncos defense has been awful. They traveled to Arrowhead and they actually played okay against the Chiefs, all things considered. So, anyways, let's get to some fantasy questions. Thank you guys for being here tonight. And there's my recap. And let's get into it, guys. All right, Mekhi, what's up? Start 3: Kyron, Kamara, Bijan, Pollard. I mean, it can't really go wrong here. All these guys have been absolutely great this season. If we want to go by matchup here, Kyron has a great matchup, so he's going to be really hard to bench. I mean, Kyron is kind of close to a must start every week, but the Cardinals are the 28th ranked team against the run in fantasy, so I think he probably has to be in your lineup. I expect a big game out of him. Kamara looked really good last week. He gets a great matchup this weekend against the Texans. Bijan and Pollard, though, how do you sit either of these guys? I just don't know that you can. I think you have to start Bijan. And I don't really know how you can bench Pollard. So, I think you're in a great situation. And man, which offense do you believe the least in? That's the question you have to ask yourself, and that's who you have to bench. I mean, it's just you have 2 phenomenal matchups. I mean, even Pollard has a good matchup, and you just cannot bench Bijan even against. I mean, not like the Commanders are good either. So, I mean, which offense do you believe the least in? Set that player. You're in a great spot. Start 2: DJ Moore, Ayuk, and Puka. I do really like DJ Moore this week. It's a great matchup. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings, this secondary has been one of the worst secondaries in the league. And, I think that a lot of people look at DJ Moore and they look at last week he's just coming off of one good game. There's not necessarily any consistency here. But when you look at the couple of games before the performance against the Commanders, I mean, week 1 was a dud, but 16 points, 13 points, 27 points before the 49-point performance in week 5. So DJ Moore has been fine. I quite like DJ Moore. And I don't think that you can really sit Puka. So Ayuk has the toughest matchup here. And I just don't think that this is going to be an extremely competitive game with Deshaun Watson not expected to play. So I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, not really, because you have 3 really good players, but I think I said Ayuk here. Chiefs Broncos was certainly a Thursday night game. Yeah, no kidding, right? It was a football game, right? Albert, good to see you, bro. What's up? Should I start Jared Goff and Dak week 6? I know Dak has a good matchup, but that doesn't guarantee a good performance. I think this was Jared Goff or Dak. I do think Dak will bounce back. Yeah. Tough week last week, but I think Dak will bounce back this week. It is a good matchup for him. The Chargers 20th against the position, so not awful, but still not very good. Bottom 12. Goff, on the other hand, has a tough matchup. The Bucs, the second best team in the league against opposing quarterbacks in fantasy. So I'll go with Dak. I think he will bounce back. Oh, it was yeah. I go Dak this week. Yeah. Would you trade Moss and Puka for JJ? I mean, it depends. If you've only lost 1 game this year, maybe if you've lost 2, if you're undefeated, then yeah, I would personally. I'm in on going out and getting JJ. I'm not in on selling JJ unless you just get a stupid, ridiculous, great offer. But yeah, I mean, I still really believe in Puka, and I think last week proved that him and Cooper Cup, I guess I should say, can definitely coexist. And I never really was worried about Puka, but maybe there's still a world where his volume starts to go down and Cup just is the dominant number 1 guy. So And then with Moss, you kind of are in the same situation with JT, who's going to start ramping up too. And Justin Jefferson just provides you with an extreme amount of upside and even consistency when healthy. So it depends on the rest of your roster, depends on your record, but I would definitely consider it, Wilson. If Evans is out, would you start Downs or DeMarcado? Downs. Yeah, DeMarcado is still kind of in a position where, we have Ingram kind of lingering, and I think DeMarcado is going to be the guy, but we have to see a full game. Like we have to watch this backfield kind of play out. So if it's full PPR, I'll go Downs. It's still a good matchup against the Jags for him. Jags good against the run, not great against the pass. D-Hop or Osborne, half PPR. That's interesting because I think what you're looking at here in a half PPR format is who has the better chance to kind of stumble into the end zone. Full PPR, you probably just go D-Hop, right? And D-Hop coming off a good game. Is there any consistency to this offense? Not really at all. But it's a tough matchup for D-Hop this week. It's a London game, similar to Thursday night games. I don't love London games. You never really know what to expect. On the other hand, KJ Osborne, a great matchup. Addison's a little bit banged up. This is one of the best or most pass-heavy teams in the league. I'll go KJ Osborne here. Hurts or Fields? What's up, McDouble? You still got to go Hurts on a weekly basis, but Fields has a pretty decent matchup against the Vikings. So, I wouldn't really blame you. But, man, like if you own Jalen Hurts, it doesn't matter. You start Jalen Hurts. He's in that tier of quarterbacks that we start on a weekly basis. And like this Jets defense is fine, but they're not like outstanding when you really look at the numbers. Komet or Goddard. Yeah, this is interesting. Goddard coming off of a good game, had a great matchup last week. So, we look at this week, the Jets. Interesting. We were just talking about that defense. They are the worst team in the league from a fantasy perspective against the tight end position. So I think you got to go Goddard, but Komet does have a good matchup. Like I don't want to like sneeze at him, and he's had 2 good weeks in a row. So I still think Komet is a good option. The Vikings are 19th against the position. So, not quite bottom 12, but right outside the bottom 12. But yeah, I'll stick with Goddard here. It's a great matchup. The Jets have played really, really poorly, worse in the league against the tight end position. Godfather, what's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Lunch Table Legend, what's up? Rams defense or Raiders team's defense? Yeah, I would not start the Raiders defense personally. I'm just not there. I would definitely take the chance on the Rams. The Raiders looked fine last week. The Patriots awful, but the Raiders are still the 3rd worst team in the league defensively from a fantasy perspective. So like I'm just not going to trust them. Even in a good matchup against a really, really, the Patriots might be the worst team in the league. I don't even think that's that controversial to say. And, this game is in Las Vegas, so I get the logic here. But this Raiders defense still not good. They just looked good last week. But I'll go with the Rams. I think it's a good opportunity. And it's not like this Cardinals team has played bad this year, but I'll go with the Rams. I made the mistake taking a chance starting Russ in one league. Now he's going to get cut from the roster. Totally done with this Broncos offense. I don't blame you at all, bro. Cortland Sutton, a guy I talked about in the offseason as like really the only Broncos player that I was targeting at all going into this year, and he looks like the only player. There's a point with the Greg Dulcich as well. But yeah, this offense, it like looks not as bad as last year somehow, but still as bad, just like in a different way. It's just like, I don't know. They just need to clean house, man. I don't know. I think it's a lost cause. Hat PPR 4-point passing touchdown. Running backs are JT Kamara, ETN, Kyron, B-Rob. Wide receivers JJ Olave, D-Hop, Pickens, Osborne. Would you trade JT and Kamara for Kirk and Breece Hall? Probably not. No. I think you hold on to both those guys. I guess you're trying to go out and get Christian Kirk. So that would leave you with, you have running back depth here. Leave you with ETN, Kyron, and B-Rob, but If you can do a 1-for-1 trade and just get Kirk, I think that's a little bit better for you. How do you feel about that? Start Tua or Fields. Yeah, this is certainly interesting. I think Tua's a very difficult player to sit because he might have the highest upside at the quarterback position. But the problem is, like, when we're looking at this matchup against the Panthers, like, they're so bad against the run. Like, even with Devontae Shane out, like, I just see a situation where we could see the Dolphins end up running the football a lot, but you just never know with this team. This Panthers defense is really bad against the run, but they're decent against opposing quarterbacks and wide receivers. Last week they weren't, but overall in the season they've been decent. But man, I think it's so tough to sit a guy like Tua. I just think this offense as a whole just brings such a tremendous amount of upside. You know, Panthers 14th against the position. It's just tough here. Fields, on the other hand, has a good matchup against the Vikings. So I don't think you can really go wrong here. I might go Fields because I see that game being more competitive and the game script favoring him a little bit more. But it's just Tua's just one of those guys this year that I think at any time can go off. And like Fields, obviously the last 2 weeks has been very great from a fantasy perspective. So I think you can really go wrong. I think I'll go Fields, but it's so close. It's hard having two quarterbacks of this caliber because, man, I mean, either guy can just outperform each other, and then you're looking at your bench and you're upset, but you can't really go wrong. I think both are good starts this week. David, what's good, my guy? Appreciate it, man. Love having you in here. Tommy, what's good? I faced Harrison Butker. He got 13. Yeah, it's like all Harrison Butker tonight. Moody, so if he can get half that at the Niners, just don't score touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, this Browns defense is pretty stingy, so there's a possibility that they hold the Niners here and there for sure. Austin, start one in the flex, full PPR, B-Rob, Chuba, or Ford. Definitely B-Rob for me. And even with the disappointing week last week, a little bit of a tough matchup as well this week. The Falcons 6 against the running back position. But I still go B-Rob. I think he's the best start. Jerome Ford, tough matchup against the Niners, backup quarterback in. Even at home, I don't feel good about it. Chuba, maybe some good opportunities this week, but I'm just not there. I'll go B-Rob. Traded away JT and Cook for Eckler. Still have Pollard and Hall. I'm okay with that. I don't mind going out and getting Eckler at all. I think it's a fair trade for both sides. You did give up pretty valuable assets here, but hey, you got Eckler, right? It's like when you guys get a player like Tyreek Hill or like Kelsey, I'm like, okay, well, I don't really care what you gave up, Should I start Higgins or Addison? If Addison plays, I'll go Addison. It's a good matchup for him. I think it's time to trade Mahomes. I need 30 points a game, right? Thoughts on Eckler and Pollard this week? I like this matchup. I mean, Eckler, kind of a matchup-proof guy. It is a tougher matchup for him, but if Eckler's back out there, which it looks like he's going to be, I'm okay with Eckler this week, and I think he can always provide you a safe floor, high ceiling. I mean, it's just what Eckler is when he's healthy, right? Pollard, this is a good matchup for him. Pollard has been ultimately relatively disappointing, I think, compared to expectations on the year, especially the last 2 weeks, but it's a good matchup for him. It's a good opportunity for him to bounce back. And a lot of these game scripts for a lot of the Cowboys players, like, they just haven't benefited this offense from a fantasy perspective, Is McCaughlin a drop? Probably. I'm going to be into a situation where I got to drop someone with Aaron Jones coming off the IR spot. Yeah, I mean, it looks like Javonte ended up being the guy, and that McCaughlin, unfortunately, was probably a short-term situation. 10 carries for Javonte tonight. Samaje Perine, just 2 targets, 2 receptions, no carries for him. So, I mean, that's, I guess, somewhat positive, but then 7 rushing attempts for McLaughlin. So it's still like close here, 7 carries compared to 10 carries, 2 receptions for McLaughlin. It's tough because now he's kind of in a committee situation, and this offense still stinks. They get Green Bay, then they host Kansas City. They're going to play Kansas City again and Denver in 2 weeks. So I mean, probably so. If you're going to replace him with a player like Aaron Jones, it's like, I think that's perfectly fine. Is Judy worth starting at all anymore? I mean, I haven't really been in on Judy at all. I mean, he don't get me wrong, Judy's had some productive games this year, but it's just like, where is the floor? What is the ceiling here? And how valuable is he when we're looking at this offense? I mean, we don't want to like completely overreact. Like we're streaming right after an awful offensive performance by the Broncos. So like, I mean, we don't want to have too much emotion, but also like, come on. Like it's probably pretty fair to react to this game and just the season as a whole for the Broncos. So I haven't been in on Judy. He wasn't a guy I was going after going into this season. Not a guy I encourage you guys to draft. No, I mean, I haven't really been encouraging you guys to start him at all unless you were like desperate. So yeah, I would say no, Gavin. Start DK Bengals or Debo. More competitive game script for DK, so I'll go DK, believe it or not. And a better matchup on paper. Logan, start 3, Wilson, DK, Addison, Godwin, 2-2, Lockett. Yeah, plenty of good options here. I actually really like Garrett Wilson this week. Call me crazy. But I do. The Eagles secondary has been awful. Question is, can Zach Wilson effectively give him the football or not? I really like Addison this week against the Bears. And I think you have to start DK. So I'll start those guys. But Lockett and Godwin and even Tutu are close options here. What are your thoughts on Deontay Foreman? Roshan Johnson is out. Is he a flex play? I mean, if you're desperate, but it's not like it's a great situation. I mean, like, we think about this Vikings defense as bad because their secondary is so bad, but they're a top 12 unit against the run. Like they're not an awful defense. Their secondary, it's almost like the Eagles. Like the front seven's great. Maybe not the best comparison because the front seven is much better. They're the best unit in the league against the running back position, but their Eagles secondary sucks, right? So this Viking secondary really, really weak, but their run defense is not bad by any means. So, and then like when we look at the Bears, and we look at the amount that they actually, give the football to the running back position, it's not like it's a decent amount, but it's nothing like crazy. And we know Justin Fields is still going to touch the football quite a bit. So, and like even if Roshan misses time, like there is still a chance that Travis Homer gets some touches in this game as well. So, I mean, Herbert had 10 touches last week and 18 the week before. But when we look at the amount of volume spread across the Bears running backs throughout the season, it was much closer to like 7 or 9 carries each game. So, I just don't like, you'd have to be like in a situation where you do not have better options. But other than that, I would say no. Update on the Tyreek trade I made. It ended up with me getting Tyreek, CD, and Pickett for Puka, Kamara, DK, and Goff. I was glad I didn't have to give up Godwin. Yeah, I mean, you gave up good players here, Puka, Kamara, DK, and even Goff. Like you gave up 4 good players, but you got Tyreek Hill. So I don't mind it. Should I start Breece Hall? I don't want to this week, not against the Eagles. Unless you just simply don't have better options, I don't want to. So I trade JJ and Waddle for Adams and Deontay Johnson. I'm 2 and 3. No, I would rather roster JJ and Waddle, even with the issues. I mean, depends on what other wide receivers you have, but probably not. I mean, if you're absolutely desperate, maybe, but I'm just not in on the sell JJ train unless you get like, I mean, Adams is like pretty fair comp for short term, but yeah, I mean, I'm not quite there. 3-1 QB. Let's see. We got Tua, Burrow, Cup, Chase, Collins, Pittman, Puka, Deontay, JT, Henry, ETN, White for the JJ trade. Let me see. I can scroll back up. Not always. Okay. Would you trade Moss and Puka? So that would leave you with JT Henry, ETN White. Yeah. And you have Cup, Chase, Collins, Pittman. Yeah, I would do that trade. Yeah. You have enough depth on both sides, man. I think you can definitely do that trade. Yeah. I mean, you have the depth available. And if Puka and Moss were waiver wire pickups for you, then it's a slam dunk play. I mean, there's risk. Like maybe JJ doesn't come back this year, but man, it's kind of like the Jamar Chase situation last year. Like everyone like sell Jamar Chase, he's done for the year. Jamar Chase comes back, misses a couple games and is perfectly fine. So yeah, if you can get JJ for 2 waiver wire additions and you have depth everywhere else, then yeah, I would certainly do it. Lost my parlay because of the Judson Watson drop on the play, got injured. Uh-oh. Had Broncos plus 10.5. Come for me somehow. Yeah. I actually thought that they would cover the spread. Just because Thursday night games are so weird. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's what, half a point? Yeah, that's never a good feeling. I've been there, bro. I've been there. So hopefully that makes you feel better. In that case, would you do a 1-for-1 for Kirk? Options would be JT, ETN, Kamara, Kyron, B-Rob. Yeah. I would. Whoever you feel like you can part with here. I think ETN and Kyron getting the best volume and Kamara looks the most promising. If you can do it for B-Rob, I definitely would. JT, I still think you want to try and hold on to, but I would do it a 1-for-1 in your situation for sure. And I like it more than kind of the previous trade you had. Start 2, Collins, Cook, Higgins, Ayuk. Yeah. What's up, Daniel? I really like James Cook this week. I usually prefer flexing wide receivers, but I really like James Cook this week. The Giants are just, come on. Higgins a little banged up. Ayuk, tough matchup. I don't see that game being ultimately too competitive, but I would still rather start those guys, I think, over Nico Collins, especially against the Saints. So I would probably go Ayuk and Cook is who I'd feel the most comfortable with. Montgomery projected more points than Stephon Diggs on ESPN. I mean, can you really blame them? I mean, ESPN always interesting with, I don't know, their rankings and everything. But yeah, I mean, I would say David Montgomery, even in a tough matchup. I mean, I'm probably still leaning Diggs, but yeah. Guy I'm training with was a James Conner owner. Oh, yeah. That use that to your advantage. Am I crazy for considering Fields over Hurts? I mean, no, you're not. But I still start Hurts. But you're not at all. I mean, if you want to go Fields, I can't really blame you. It's a good matchup. He's been balling out. So yeah. What's good, GT Sport? Thinking about trading Wilson for JJ. I'm 1-4. My wide receivers are Amari, Waddle, and Watson. Yeah, I mean, the only issue here is you're 1-4. So like JJ doesn't help you right now. Maybe down the road, of course, but I think Wilson's gonna have a big week. But still, like, if you think you can get by with Amari, Waddle, and Watson, that's fine. Devonta Smith can bounce back any week. I thought we'd see it last week, quite frankly. But yeah, I mean, he's due for a big game. It is a tough matchup. The Jets secondary not bad. I would imagine Sauce going to mainly see AJ Brown, but you never really know. Smith can bounce back any week against any defense, but it's just one of these offenses that things get spread around. The game plan doesn't always benefit each wide receiver. Start 2, Nico, Olave, or Hollywood. I'd probably go Olave and Hollywood personally. If you want to swap Nico and Olave, I don't mind that. Nico does have the better matchup, believe it or not. As good as the Saints defense is, this Texans unit is really good against the pass. Vinny, what's up? Johnny Smith, Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, or Higbee. Need to pick one if Laporta is out. It's a tough matchup for Dalton Schultz, who's looked really good the last 2 weeks. Tyler Higbee's seen less volume. It's a tough matchup for him this week. I don't really trust Johnny Smith or Hunter Henry. So I probably do go Dalton Schultz or Tyler Higbee. It's just like you have to expect a little bit of a lower ceiling, but I'd probably go with one of those guys. They both have tough matchups. Higbee, the Cardinals are 7th against the position. Schultz, the Saints are 4th. Let's just for fun, Hunter Henry as the Raiders. I mean, that's probably the best matchup you're going to get here. It is because the Commanders are 6 against position. So I might take a risk on Hunter Henry here, even though this offense looks like it's in complete shambles. DeMarcado or Chuba. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go. It's close here. I don't really like either. I'll go DeMarcado. If Sanders doesn't play, it is a good opportunity. And, that's kind of the way that Sanders is trending at the moment. But I don't know. I mean, I don't expect a high ceiling for either. But I guess I go Chuba because it's a better matchup. And we could see some split time for DeMarcado. I do like him though. I mean, I guess I go Chuba, but I know you're not happy with really either player there. Tajay Spears or Sanders? I'll go Tajay Spears. I mean, if Sanders plays, he is the better matchup. So I guess you can go Sanders, but Spears against the Ravens, I guess London game, you have to be kind of desperate to start him, Appreciate that, Michael. Thoughts on Logan Thomas this week if Laporta is injured? Yeah, I do like Logan Thomas if he is available. It's not like it's actually the Falcons are bottom 4 against the tight end position. So yeah, if you can get Logan Thomas, go do it. If I drop McLaughlin, I didn't start him. Foreman is available. I could pick him up, but I wouldn't flex him over Osborne, DeMarcado, or Spears. Yeah, I mean, Foreman probably worth stashing. And it's just kind of like, guys like McLaughlin, Foreman, maybe DeMarcado. We're looking at short-term help here. And it's like sometimes these guys should just get more opportunities. I feel like McLaughlin was kind of a difference maker for the Broncos. So Foreman worth stashing, but like you're saying, you're not starting him over the other players because they have the upper hand right now. Okay, sorry, I'm getting repeats in the chat here. Let me scroll down. Okay. Tua or Kirk? Tua. I do like Kirk this week, but I'll go Tua, Thomas. Higher ceiling. Trying to decide to flex Spears or DeMarcado. Baltimore could possibly go up big and run Spears more. Or you mean Tennessee? I mean, I don't know. Something about that game just feels gross. 2 good run defenses. I'd probably go DeMarcado. I mean, it's not like it's a great matchup for him, but it is a better matchup. I just don't like London games. You either see little defense or a lot of defense, or I just like weird games like tonight, like Thursday Night Football, short week, traveling, London games, a lot of travel. I go DeMarcado. Facing Harrison Butker tonight, yeah, he killed it, man. Thoughts on Hubbard if Sanders is out? Yes, we kind of went over that. I mean, he's fine. It's a good matchup. The Dolphins are bottom 12, but don't expect a high ceiling or, and once again, Panthers are probably going to be playing from behind, needing to throw the football. They're playing the Dolphins for crying out loud. So if you need to go Chuba, you can, but don't expect a lot. Pick 2, Osborne, Reynolds, Michael Wilson, Garrett Wilson, or Breece Hall. I go KJ Osborne and Garrett Wilson here. You could go Reynolds and Garrett Wilson, but I like KJ and Garrett Wilson based on matchup. No problem, Vinny. Happy to help, my dude. Should I hold on to Fields or try selling him high to get Allen, Mahomes, Hurts? Could he Fields plus Hollywood for Hurts? Depends on the entire roster, Gavin, but it's not a bad trade. Not a bad trade at all. But I believe in Fields. I mean, I brought it up a couple weeks ago. Hey, last year it took him a couple weeks to get going. Maybe we need to pump the brakes here. But Hurts is a much safer option. Depends on your wide receiver depth. If Sanders was out, would you play Chuba over Tajay? You can. I just don't see a high ceiling. I mean, I see a better matchup for Chuba Hubbard. So, yes, I guess I would. but I don't see a high ceiling for either guys. What do you think of Craig Reynolds? I mean, I like Craig Reynolds, but I don't see a lot from a fantasy perspective. I mean, he didn't do anything. The last time he had opportunities, I mean, he was fine last week, but the Panthers are one of the worst teams in the league against a run. The Buccaneers, then Baltimore next week are two good run units. So, I mean, like when we're looking at players like that, like you can stash them, but they're not worth starting right now. It's too risky. Falcons, Rams, or Lions defense. I do kind of like the Rams this week. I don't want to go with the Lions. They're a good defense, but they're mainly good against a run. And they're traveling. The Bucks want to throw. Bucks are rested, coming off a bye week. The Falcons are interesting. Washington's not very good, so maybe the Falcons. Go Falcons, Rams, and Lions. How about that? Rank these three rest of the season: Ayuk, CD, and Waddle. I think, call me crazy, I think Waddle has the most upside just because of the offense he's tied to, but is he going to get the opportunities? I don't know. At least he found the end zone last week, but I probably put them in the order that you have them. Like the problem with the Niners offense is that they're so efficient. The defense is so efficient. They're so good as a whole that you're going to have weeks where George Kittle is 3 touchdowns. You're going to have weeks where Brandon Ayuk balls out. You're going to have weeks where Debo balls out. You're going to have weeks where C-Mac has 4 touchdowns. Like it's hard to distribute the wealth. And unless they're in a competitive game script, which they just haven't been in a lot of them because they are such a good team overall, it's hard to really see a lot of those targets spread around. But Ayuk is still who I feel the most comfortable with right now. I mean, CD is playing fine by all means, but he's really just getting hurt by this offense as a whole. And if you're not in a full PPR league, then it doesn't feel good to have CD right now. I mean, this is full PPR, but I probably still put them in the order that you have them. But like I said, I still think Waddle actually has the highest ceiling, just because he's tied to the Dolphins. Does that make sense? And once again, like similar to the Niners, like the Dolphins are a team that have a lot of playmakers, and it's hard to distribute that on a weekly basis, but not quite the same as the Niners. And their defense sucks. So, you think PJ can get Amari's necessary targets? I mean, probably, but the ceiling's gonna be lowered. There's just not the same connection, chemistry, all that stuff. So, I mean, it's probably like if you can bench Cooper, you want to. If you can't, then like you can probably hope for a decent floor, but this is still a top 12 unit against the wide receiver position in the Niners, so I wouldn't feel great about it. Whew. That was like the most intense yawn I've ever had on stream. I've been trying to hold that in. I was like, all right, it's coming. All right. You're welcome, Thomas. Happy to help you, bro. Hurts or Herbert? I think Herbert could really bounce. I mean, I don't want to say bounce back, but come off a bye week and be really strong this week. So I don't mind. I mean, both of these guys are obvious must starts on a weekly basis. I mean, it's hard to really break down these two guys on a weekly basis and like who you should start, but they both play relatively good defenses in the Cowboys and Jets this week. I'm going to go Herbert because I think that game will be more competitive. Any chance Keaton Mitchell becomes a fantasy starter? I mean, there's always a chance, but while it can pay off to obviously stash a player like that, when it comes to a backfield like the Ravens, I stay away. Like you just end up having a player on your bench, then they have a good week, then you start them, then Justice Hill gets all the carries. Gus Edwards scores a touchdown and takes away all the upside. Like I don't really like these type of committees. Jake Ferguson, Conklin, or Jonnu. I'd go with Jake Ferguson. No problem, Gavin. How do you feel with Pacheco this game? He gave me 15.8 points. I mean, I was a big fan of Pacheco coming into the year. I still like Pacheco a lot. Not always the highest ceiling just due to the nature of the offense he's in, but he's always going to be fine. And this was a good matchup, literally the best matchup he could have had. But Thursday night games always throw us for a loop. So I wasn't necessarily surprised that he didn't have like 30 fantasy points or what some people were expecting. But yeah, I mean, 15 points without scoring a touchdown, always solid, right? Fields or Herbert rest of the season. I mean, I'm still going to go Herbie, but you can't go wrong. Both these guys are going to have good seasons from a fantasy perspective. Flexing Demicardo or Spears in a 2 flex makes my team sound bad. Bye weeks. Haven't had to play with my full team together yet. Next week will be the first time. Nice. I think I lean Demicardo between the two, Tommy. But yeah, make it through a tough bye week situation and you'll be fine, man. Raiders, Rams, or Saints. I mean, I'm sticking with the Saints just because they're the best unit. So I'll go with the Saints. Ventures from the queue. Lost Ashane and Jefferson. Need full PPR. Need a wide receiver 2 and a flex. Yeah, I mean, you have pretty good options here. I go Ayuk and Osborne. If you want to go Lockett, I don't have a problem with throwing Lockett in there, maybe over Osborne. But yeah, I mean, even in a tough matchup for Ayuk, he's a tough player to bench. So, I mean, Lockett hasn't really given us that Lockett type ceiling outside of week 2 against Detroit. So, I probably go Ayuk and Osborne. Good matchup for Osborne, and Ayuk just a tough player to bench, even in a bad matchup. Trade Gibbs for JT. Yeah, I would do that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Pick 3, Devonta Flowers, Lockett, and Godwin. I go Devonta, just a hard player to bench, man. I think Devonta Smith, he just has to be in your lineup every week. Flowers should have had a better week last week. You know, he gets another good matchup this week against the Tennessee Titans, London game. Give him a shot. And then Lockett versus Godwin is close. If you want a ceiling with risk, I think you go Lockett. If you want a floor, go Godwin. Would you trade B-Rob for Devon Shane while Shane is out for a few weeks? If you really, really need to. I mean, you're 4-1, then no. I mean, I like B-Rob a lot. I know last week was a bummer, and that's probably fresh in our heads, but no, if you're 4-1, I'm holding on to Devon Shane. You know, I'm not going there. Not going there. So just too good of a player to let go. Too much upside for down the stretch, man. Trade Johnny Wilson and Kirk for Geno and Amon-Ra. 20-man. Other guy needs tight end. Yeah, I would do that. Geno, better quarterback right now than Russ, for sure. And, I mean, I really like Christian Kirk, one of my favorite players going in the year, but so is Amon-Ra. And I'd still rather have Amon-Ra. Johnny Smith, if you're good at tight end, then yeah, I would do this trade for sure. If you feel good about it, yeah. Oh, you trade for Ashane? Yeah. I would do that then. I would do it. My bad. Yeah, if you're 4-1, you can acquire Devon Ashane, and you feel like you're in a good situation for your roster overall, then yeah, I would definitely do it. Absolutely. I mean, it depends on your running backs, but yeah, I would do it. J-Dubs, how are you, my dude? All right, guys. So I was just hopping on for a little bit post Thursday night since I was not able to hop on earlier, but it is getting late on my end, and a big work event going on through Sunday at my work. So I do need to be kind of well rested. So I'll go ahead and start wrapping up here, and we'll start closing things down. But appreciate you guys hanging out tonight, and thank you so much for all the fantasy questions. Tomorrow night I'll be on, and Pete from After the Review might be on with me, so we should have another good stream tomorrow night. No worries, J-Dubs. Chubar 2-2. I go 2-2. Yeah. Full PPR, I go 2-2 for sure. Appreciate you, Gavin. Thank you for the questions tonight. Yeah. Appreciate you, GT. Gibbs or Ramondre? Gibbs. At least he's tied to the better offense, and God forbid something happens to Monty, I'll go Gibbs. But if we're just talking about this week purely, tough situation. Not a good matchup for Gibbs. Better matchup for Ramondre. So if it's this week, I'll go Ramondre just based on the matchup. For on the season, I'll go Gibbs. I have no faith left in the Patriots offense, but it's a good matchup. 18th against the running back position for the Raiders, so I'll go Ramondre. All right, guys. So do me a favor, hit the like on the way out. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for being here tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream, and hopefully you guys consider subscribing. Our Discord links down below, Instagram links down below, if you guys want to check that out as well. And we'll wrap up in just a minute here. Love versus Ritter. I still believe in Love. I still believe in Jordan Love. I still believe in Love. Yeah, I'll go Jordan Love. You know, I think he'll be okay. One bad game. I think even the week before, he showed, you know, he kind of came back in the second half, at least came to life, gave his offense a chance. So I'll go Jordan Love. I know Ritter's coming off a good game, but that's still a run first offense. So I'll go Jordan Love. All right, guys. So yeah, that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for the fancy questions. Glad we got to chat post game here on Thursday night. And I will be on tomorrow for a longer stream. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for the fancy questions. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And with that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And peace.